Hail Internet, it's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We're here today talking about the Lazarus Project, Season 1, Episode 7. We open with a flashback of Shiv's death at the hands of George. The reset happens, he wakes up, grabs his gun, heads for George's apartment, as we saw at the end of the last episode. George meets him in the hallway, they have a standoff, and notably, George tells Shiv how he's convinced everyone that Shiv is the culprit. Shiv takes off, mainly I think because he sees that killing George will only make him look more guilty. That's our opening. So we end with Shiv returning to George's apartment. George shoots Shiv again. Shiv is bad at this whole getting shot thing. And days go by. George makes a series of blunders, basically leading to his seemingly inevitable arrest for Shiv's murder. And then we get this unplanned reset that occurs, featuring strange lights in the sky. And George returns to the moment just after he's shot Shiv. He shot Shiv kind of like right before midnight or something. Anyway, he shoots it, and it's right after he shot Shiv in his apartment. Bang, so you've got another one of these cliffhanger type endings.
Yes.
So Paul, what did you think of episode 7?
I enjoyed it greatly. I almost suggested to you that we should do 7 and 8 together as one, the way we did 5 and 6, because that's such a cliffhanger. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Yes. Which is cool. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, the cliffhanger, when everybody gets moving, you're like, okay, we're on the run now. That was a great little moment.
Yes.
And then we pay that off here, and then we have another. Whoa. Okay, we've added something. Basically, what triggered this reset is kind of the big question.
Yes.
So you enjoyed it. You're on board. Was there something in particular you liked about this episode?
One thing I really liked was how. You foreshadowed it in the last episode where you wondered exactly what George's life would be now that he's done this.
Okay.
So, it's like, yes, he brought her back so she could break up with him.
So she could break up with him, which is great. I liked the way... I liked the reality of the way their relationship dissolved. It wasn't like she was struck by lightning or hit by another truck or, she survives just fine, but their relationship doesn't.
And Archie is the last person you would ever want to commiserate you on a breakup. She was bad for the first time, and she's bad again.
She gives this tough love talk to George.
Yeah.
And she's telling him basically during this monologue, essentially, she tells him basically that maybe Sarah has her own purpose, unrelated to her relationship to George.
Yeah.
And to me, not only is it like, ouch, but true, but it's like a narrative beacon to me, like boop, 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 boop. Like, so I don't think she's going to be an oblivious motivation for George to address each reset, right? She's not.
What do you mean?
I don't think she's going to be just almost like an obstacle or something that he has to, every time you reset, I got to figure out my relationship with Sarah. I feel like she's going to be a much more important part of this whole thing in season 2. I think they're pushing on the fact that Sarah is not just an object. She's going to be a central character in this show.
Okay.
And so I think that's my theory.
Interesting.
Theory crafting for season 2.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That's almost the show telling us that, as opposed to just Archie telling us that.
Interesting.
The reality of their situation, and it wasn't even, the change in George wasn't so. I remember in the first episode or something when he does the reset, and then he becomes like this, uber germ sensitive.
Yes.
Paranoid guy. It wasn't that. He was still in a lot of ways George. He was maybe a little more careful, and he was trying to be more, just safer generally. But it was just their relationship wasn't coalescing.
Yes.
And months go by, and she's like, this isn't working out. And it's just like, it's always like, surprise, surprise, going back in time doesn't set things right. You know, The Flash, I think, just had that issue happen, and I feel like I've seen that on a Simpsons Halloween episode. It just doesn't fix the things you think it's going to fix.
Yeah.
But no, it was great. I like the way that their relationship just evolved. And, you know, in some ways, maybe you could say, well, it's still worth it because she's alive. At least it's a world where we had a relationship, we gave it a chance, and it didn't work out. But you know what? I saved her, and I saved our chance for a relationship, even though things being what they are, they didn't work out. That's great. Yeah. I mean, you could leave it there, but that's not where the show's leaving it.
Like, thankfully, no one ever said to him, you know, because that would have been terrible. Like, you know, if you had your choice again, you know, right. No one said that. No one, which is good.
Said, well, I will say this, like, it was a bit. It's not a weird thing for a story writer to put in there. It's not so outrageous. But it is odd to be like, yeah, we broke up a while back. I'm going to call you up. I want to meet so I can tell you I found someone else. You're like, as he says, you probably could have done that in the text. Yeah. Like, yes, George is absolutely correct. Like, what do you expect to get out of that? You meet him at this restaurant or a little cafe, and then you're like, yeah, by the way, I'm going to get married to somebody else.
Yeah.
And like, where does the conversation go at that point? Bye. I don't know. Anyway, it was weird, but I get it. Sure.
Yeah. People. Yeah, it didn't seem like something someone wouldn't do, right?
Right. They would, but it's still like, why are you doing that?
Yeah. You could be like, you know, people do this. And they probably shouldn't.
They probably shouldn't. Exactly. Because this reset is so odd. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can't answer this because it would give away stuff from the next episode, but
yeah, you should be asking yourself why this is happening, right? Because all the previous time we've seen, they've told people. They've all been in the place where it's like, okay, guys, we're gonna do it in 10 minutes or whatever, and you know, even Janet, who didn't want them to, who drove to the place, knew it was gonna happen, and begged them not to do it.
No, right. They would have. You figured they would have informed George about it in some way if they were doing it. It suggests, because we see that Janet was kidnapped, that maybe somehow Janet is involved in that. But I mean, I guess one of my many questions about that incident is, does that mean that everything prior to this reset is now set in stone? In other words, could George go? It sounds like George can't go back to when he woke up with Sarah again, and then maybe fix the relationship before they broke up again.
Well, you know, he just set back to shooting him, so he shot him twice.
Right. Great point. I mean, but in other words, if this is an off kilter version, could you still do the main reset and reset even earlier? I guess is my question.
Well, that would be nice if they could do that.
Okay, all right. Anyway. All right, fair enough.
At least nice for Shiv, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They do kind of make, it's a dark humor, but it's dark and humorous.
Yes.
George's blunder. So, like, first there's the shot of him carrying the body into the elevator.
Yes.
Okay. Then there's he blows up Shiv's car.
Yes.
With Shiv's body in it.
Yes.
And Shiv's body flies out of the car and lands at his feet. And they do it. It's just like, why me?
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, I appreciate it. That's probably the most humorous scene in the show so far.
Yes.
So he's terrible at hiding his crimes. Is what we've learned.
I'm putting you on alert, and the audience can be on alert too for the next episode, that there is a joke. It's a dark, humorous joke that you are to find. So once you watch the episode, you should say, I wonder if this is the joke that Paul's talking about.
Okay. All right. Challenge accepted.
Yeah, the fact that it's a joke is really especially attuned for you, Matt. So.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Another interesting bit there is where Archie tells George that she suspects Reberoff got himself intentionally caught in order to find the weak link.
That was very I don't know that I noticed it the first time as much as this time, that he was like,
Yeah, George is realizing maybe for the first time that Riberoff was manipulating him.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in some ways he didn't care at the time because it was a
That's
win-win.
true.
Like, hey,
yeah,
Sarah's
exactly.
back,
That's
so
right.
Whatever you want, it's fine.
Yeah, but the whole thing about, maybe that was his plan all along to get in there.
Right. Yeah. I would suspect the answer to that is yes. Janet's kidnapped in Hamburg, which is also where Shiv is or was. So we get the idea that there's a lot of stuff happening in Hamburg. There are bodies. So there's an organization trying to kidnap Janet, it seems like. And so, we're not sure what that's all about. But the fact that Shiv has returned and decided to kill... I don't know if he's killed George. I'm not sure why he showed up that night, except to maybe... I don't know. I mean, was he going there simply to kill George, or was he going there with some, to arrest him, or I don't know.
Those are good questions.
Okay.
I don't know that you have the answer yet. In fact, I don't think you do.
Okay. All right. Whatever he wanted, he did not get what he wanted.
Probably not.
Lying on the floor, bleeding out.
Unless that note that he pulls out was, "Please shoot me."
Yeah. Got the neighbor with well, I heard it sound like gunshots. Yeah. I was watching a movie. Anyway, gotta get. Oh, it had blood on my shirt. Yeah. Man.
Just cooking a turkey and watching a show.
Oh man, yeah, that guy. Anyway, so not quite the smooth agent that we've seen him be a few different times here in other episodes.
Yes,
he's like both.
Well, this more fits into your expectation.
Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right. This is the George I would expect, as opposed to the one from a couple episodes ago where he was just taking out terrorists.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the show isn't relying on a single sci-fi moment.
Yes.
Hey, they can time travel, and we did it once, and now they have to deal with repercussions. That in alone is interesting, but it probably doesn't hold for a show. It holds for a movie.
Yes.
So here they're like, okay, well, what if? And so now they can do all these different resets apparently, and what all that means when you have more knowledge, you're gaining knowledge each time to try to change events. I mean, I get it; it's kind of Groundhog's Day-y, but with a spy versus spy twist on it.
Yes.
So I like it. I'm interested. I don't know where this is going for episode 8.
Yeah.
And there is a season 2 that will come, so that's good.
Yeah, so I don't think they've announced when that'll be, so that's disappointing. I don't think they should be influenced by the strike, but I could be wrong about that.
Oh, good point. They probably... Well, it was originally a British show, which is probably still a British show.
Yes.
So I don't know if British writers are on strike as well, but anyway. We'll see how that works, but in other words, this is not designed to end next episode. This is designed to carry on to a season 2. It was interesting to see the sky open up, right? That is a thing that I don't think... I mean, I'm sure we haven't seen that, but maybe we just...
Most of the time, we've been indoors most of the time.
Yeah,
everybody's there. I mean, I guess... Yeah, I mean... and a lot of the previous ones, at least during the time when they had to keep doing it, it was just the nuclear explosion.
The nuclear explosion
was the outside that was causing them to do it.
We'll see what that's all about. Yeah. But excited to see the season finale of the Lazarus Project. And we'll be back talking about it next week. Thanks so much, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.